In this video, if you think that sales is not for you, or you think that you can't succeed in sales and make a lot of money, I'm going to tell you why that's wrong and why you actually have the most potential. So after running this business where I help people get remote high ticket sales jobs, in doing that, I've talked to lots of people, more than I could even count. And I always hear from people the same few things over and over. And these are what they say. I'm not really a sales type person. I'm not extroverted. I'm not that type of person. I don't think I would be good at sales. I hear these things over and over and over. And everybody makes sales this like big monster that is impossible to learn. And most people that are watching this is why they won't do sales. They think it's hard to do, or they have all these beliefs about it in their mind. So first of all, these are just lies and stories that you are telling yourself in your head. And what's funny about this is everybody's seen Wolf of Wall Street, right? And that is most people's impression of what sales is. Super aggressive, scumbaggy, like taking everything someone has, convincing them to buy at any cost, things like this. But that is not what sales is in the real world, and definitely not at higher levels like in the high ticket space. But the guy that movie is about, Jordan Belfort, he has a quote, and it's one of the only quotes that I actually like. And he says, the only thing standing between you and your goal is the bullshit story that you keep telling yourself as to why you can't achieve it. So you can do sales. Most people watching this can do sales. And actually the people that do the best in sales tend to be the introverted type people and the people that think they wouldn't be good at it. So let's talk about why that is and why sales isn't what you think it is. So I actually tend to be a very introverted type person. I like to do things by myself. I have no problem doing anything alone. I'm very self-reliant. I just want to do my own thing. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't like to do social shit. I do that every day, and I have a specific time set aside to do that. But I have no problem working by myself for days and days in a row and just zoning out. And I used to think the same thing. Sales is not for me. I don't want to have to talk to that many people. But at this point in my adult life, it's all I've really done. All I've done is sales, and I crush it at this, and you can too. So to prove this, let's imagine two different scenarios. The first scenario is you get on a call with the salesperson. They are running their mouth the entire call. They won't stop talking. They're pushing you to buy the entire time. They're not really directly answering any of your questions. And they're just going into this super long pitch about how fantastic that what they're selling is. And if you don't buy it, you're an idiot. The second scenario, you get on the phone with a different sales guy. He lets you do all of the talking. He's not really talking at all. He asks you genuine questions about yourself, about your life. He asks you why you wanted to get on the call, and he actually cares about what you're saying and the answers that you're giving. And he doesn't really pitch you at all. It doesn't even seem like he's trying to sell you at all. He's more just having a normal conversation with you. And then based on what you tell him, he either sells you on what he has or he doesn't. Who would you rather speak to? Who would you rather give your money to? The second person. The second person does the best, 100% of the time. The first guy is an example of the Wolf of Wall Street type shit that everybody thinks sales is. And that guy fucking fails because nobody likes him. Nobody likes that guy and nobody wants to give that guy any money. If a salesperson annoys you on a call and is super pushy, are you going to give that guy money? I'm not, right? Goodbye. So that's how it plays out in reality. In sales, you just need to talk to people like they're a normal person, like you're talking to somebody on the street. Just listen to them. If you want to succeed in sales, you need to be able to listen. And introverted type people, or the people who think they wouldn't be good at sales, tend to be the best listeners. Most of what you do in sales, and definitely in high ticket sales, is listening. Most of what you do is going to be listening to the people you're talking to, because we are not trying to mass sell everybody we get on the phone with. You only want to sell your thing, your product, to the people who it is exactly right for, who it's actually going to help. If you just got on these calls and you aggressively forced everyone into buying your thing, your product, the people who this isn't right for, they are quickly going to find that out and they're going to be pissed off. And then they're going to ask for their money back. And now this is causing friction and bullshit to deal with for the business owner, and he doesn't want to deal with that shit. And now he's pissed off at you. This is how this is actually going to play out in reality if you try to force sell everybody you get on the phone with. So you don't need to be an aggressive, scumbag, super talkative person to succeed in sales. You actually need to be the complete opposite. Most calls that I've taken in high ticket sales, and I've taken thousands at this point, go something like this. I spend most of my time asking them questions and letting them do all of the talking. That is generally everything I do on a call. I want them talking at least 80% of the time. So can you ask questions? Can you listen? Can you learn a very simple sales script and sales process? Of course you can. Then you can do high ticket sales. And if you are like this, you can wildly succeed. And while it may seem otherwise, I don't really like to talk for long periods of time. It drains my energy. I have no interest in doing it. But I am a very good listener. And if you think that you're introverted or whatever, something like that, you're probably a good listener too. Or if you're just somebody that's like, well, I'm kind of intimidated by sales, like that's what's holding you up. All you have to do is listen to people. It's not about performing. It's not about running your mouth. It's not about forcing people to buy things. You are just asking them questions to get information that you need and letting them talk the whole time. And a huge key to sales in general, and also in getting people to like you, is listening. Think about how when you meet most people in real life or you talk to most people, all they do is flap their mouth. Everybody I meet in real life never shuts up, right? And they're talking about themselves the entire time. But when somebody only wants to talk about you, like they're genuinely interested in you and they're just listening to you, you're like, man, I really like that person for some reason. That guy was super cool. I can't really put my finger on it. That's why, right? And that is the easiest life hack and sales hack that there is. You just need to listen to people and not worry about yourself. And another thing that you will realize when you get into high ticket sales and you start talking to people on these calls is that most people never have anyone just listen to them and make them feel heard. Because like we talked about, 90% of people just want to run their mouth about themselves. So if you can make someone on a call feel heard and that you genuinely care about their situation, bro, you will close more sales than you ever thought was possible on easy mode. Most people you will find are just waiting for someone to truly listen to them. Most people are always interrupting them and they just want someone to genuinely show interest in them and listen to what they have to say. It's crazy. I'll get on calls with people and get to know them and they just end up dumping everything on me. And we just met all because I was willing to listen to them and let them do all the talking. It's crazy. And most importantly, they got on this call for a reason, because they have some pain or some problem in their life that they are hoping your product or service is going to solve for them. And they desperately want this to be the answer. They would not have gotten on this call if they didn't desperately want your product to be the answer to their problems. So if you genuinely listen to them and make them feel heard, you will crush it. So if you're someone that tells yourself these stories, oh, I'm not that type of person, I'm not extroverted or whatever, another thing you probably don't like is the idea of having to get on calls with people, talk to new people all the time. But like we already talked about, you are not on a stage here. They are. The call is about them. You instantly, from the jump, make the call about them. It's very, very easy. Also, are you going to let a story like this in your mind stop you from making really good money? I dealt with the same things. I didn't let it stop me. Now I make a lot of money. So what are you going to do? You should grow up and get over it. Most things you see on the internet and in comment sections are all from people who have never done shit, or they started something and they didn't do the work and they gave up and then they blamed it on the thing instead of looking themselves in the mirror. It's all bullshit. Oh, this is a scam. You have to be aggressive or extroverted to do sales. These are just internet lies that are perpetuated to you by comment sections and losers, which the internet is full of. So if you tell yourself stories like this, I can't do sales because I'm introverted, or I can't do sales because the idea of talking to new people intimidates me, these are just stories. They're not reality. And you are actually way more likely to do very well at this if you are more introverted or kind of intimidated by sales, and I am living proof of that. Whatever stories you tell yourself that are holding you back, you can choose to start telling yourself a different story at any time. You have the capability to make that choice any second. It's never too late. Lastly, on a good offer, selling for a good business, you are basically, as the salesperson, just facilitating the sale. So what do I mean by that? If a business is selling a good product or service, you don't really have to sell it to people. You don't have to convince anyone of anything. They already want to buy it. So on those calls, you are just like a middleman between the business and the client or customer. You just take the call, make sure they're right for it, and then you just facilitate the sale. You process the payment. There's not a lot of like convincing people to do anything. If people get on the call and they're not sure, we don't want to sell to them. We want people who get on the call and they're like, I'm all in, I'm ready to buy. And you're like, okay, that's great. Let's make sure you're a good fit. If they are, you sell it to them. That is high ticket sales. So it's literally that easy. No crazy sales skills involved, no scumbag persuasion or whatever other weird stuff you believe about sales. And after being in sales for years, at this point, I would never do anything else. And this high ticket space is the only type of sales I would be getting into. With the internet and online business absolutely exploding right now, this is the only thing I would be considering. So don't let stories in your mind stop you from making a lot of money. That's the end of the video. If you want my help getting a closer role or a setter role, hit the link in the description, schedule a call with me so that we can meet each other and see if you'd be a good fit. Until next time.